Maybe you've been selling on an online marketplace and you're ready to take more control over your sales, or you have some digital products that you'd like to sell via your website, but you're not sure how.
We're talking to Alexis, a website designer and owner of Laugh, Eat, Learn, about how your website can be a powerful tool for increasing control over your products and your revenue.
Alexis is the founder of Laugh Eat Learn, where she helps women entrepreneurs and small business owners create standout websites and brands. With over 10 years of experience in design and a passion for streamlining processes, Alexis helps clients not only build beautiful websites, but also set up solid, functional online stores.
When she's not working with clients, you can find her staying active, enjoying time outdoors, reading a good book with a chai tea in hand, or relaxing with a movie with her husband and pup.
Being an online business owner is full of ups and downs. Some days you can't imagine going back to your 9 to 5, and other days you want to burn your whole business to the ground. We get it.
Welcome to Chaos to Conversions, a podcast of practical, no BS strategies to grow your online business. Each week, we're chatting about launching, copywriting, mindset, and more, so you can make sense of the chaos and do more of what works.
Join the conversation and let's grow together.
Okay, welcome back to Chaos to Conversions. Today we have a special guest with us, Alexis from Laugh Eat Learn. Welcome to the podcast.
Thank you guys for having me. I'm excited to finally be on the podcast and chat with your audience
Yeah.
and you guys.
Yeah, of course. Yeah, Alexis and I know each other pretty well. We've worked on projects with clients together before. She actually did my branding, so obviously I trust her a lot with branding, website design, all the kind of stuff. I've seen a lot of her work and she's really amazing at what she does. So I'm excited to talk more specifically today. We are talking about website side of things, but we're actually talking about shops specifically, like selling on your website. So I kind of want to start with something that I think a lot of people have experienced in 2025, which is a really big dip in revenue across marketplaces. I've heard Etsy sellers talk about it. We've definitely, Melanie and I, we work with a lot of TPT sellers. I know you do too, Alexis. So I know you've probably heard from them about how they're not experiencing as much revenue as they were in the past. Do you have any thoughts on like why this is happening in a lot of these marketplaces, or kind of what are your clients saying that they think might be a reason why this is happening?
Yeah, for sure. So the first thing when it comes like marketplaces, they are controlling the algorithm, right? So their searchability. A few years ago, TPT did like a big change with their search features. And that changed a lot for a lot of sellers. And that kind of started that shift to looking at different options when it comes to marketplaces or hosting on your own website with products and stuff. So that has continued to just be the issue with searchability, algorithm changes, the visibility. Obviously, as things grow, as platforms grow, you're going to see an oversaturation of people because people are, teaching you how to sell on these things and come join us. You can sell, you can make this type of money. We see it on TikTok, we see it on social media about, let's stay at home, let's make products, let's sell them. So there's just an oversaturation in general with all these marketplaces as well. And we know that buyers also want a more personal experience when they're shopping from people or shopping from brands, businesses, those type of things. So when they go onto these marketplaces, everything is kind of in their face. A lot of the stuff looks the same or reads the same. We have AI playing into this as well. So you have that kind of robotic structure popping up on product listings and just things that you see on different marketplaces. There's no individuality anymore. There is, but it's a little bit harder to find. And a lot of people, a lot of buyers, when they go to these type of websites, they want to find what they need and get off of there. They don't want to spend a long time on these platforms. They just want to find what they need and move on. And when something is so oversaturated, you're seeing that harder and harder for people. So I think those couple things are the big shift that we're seeing, especially this year with sellers not making as much. Definitely something to consider when you are working on your shop, working on these platforms, type of things, for sure.
Yeah, I know something that I feel like a lot of conversations we've been having with guests who've come on is the trust factor, the personal factor of 2025. How, like you said, a lot of people are They want to feel like they can trust the person that they're buying from. And yeah, when you have a platform that's full of AI that you don't know whether it's
Yeah.
even like good, and then a lot of districts I feel like are losing trust
Yeah,
in
for sure.
resources that are being sold through TPT. They've started to block it because they're like, well, this isn't an effective tool, or like you're buying things that aren't really working, or whatever, their reason is for that. But then that's also just blocking people from even being able to go and buy. So I feel like that big T, trust is becoming kind of a big issue for a lot of marketplaces. I mean, I know even for me, like I was a huge Etsy shopper, but I used to shop on Etsy like way more than I do now. Nowadays,
Yeah.
I'm kind of like, do I even know that is it really like homemade anymore? All those kinds of
Yeah,
things.
it kind of takes away that appeal because
Yeah.
it doesn't feel homemade anymore. It's not a place that you can find something unique anymore. And that is the problem with a lot of these marketplaces, is that you're just kind of have so many options. It's too many options, and the quality might not be the same as it used to be.
Yeah, for sure.
Yeah, I think I noticed that even just coming out of, you might know this, Alexis, that I mostly help people sell their courses and memberships. And even
Me
just
too.
yeah, come on over. Um, but even just coming off of this last round, this last live round that I did, to circle back to the trust thing, I mean, the people who had the most success were definitely the people who engaged with their audience the most in an authentic way. Of the 8 people that I had go through it, I mean, the 2 that had by far the most success were the ones that went live and not, did something like pre-recorded, and it was hard to tell if it was in real time. And I mean, they all actually did it in real time, but all that just to say that, like, the people who had the most success were the people who really played into that, not played into it, that's not even the right phrasing, but the people who really understood that trust and authentic relationships were the most important. And I mean, I think it's just kind of, I don't know if you see this as like maybe one of the bigger frustrations for your clients with selling on marketplaces, but it just has in some areas become kind of exhausting because there's so much showing up required. I feel like gone are the days of the true evergreen funnel of like set it and forget it, check your metrics and it works. I mean, I don't know, maybe it works for some people to just do that, but not really a lot of people I know. What would you say is probably the biggest frustration of your clients with selling on marketplaces like this?
I mean, just kind of go off of what you just said, that set it and forget it. That does not exist anymore. That passive income cloud does not exist because you're always having to work on it, tweak it, make updates, and kind of ride the wave of what your audience needs. And I would say the biggest frustration that some of my clients are seeing is just the limitation with branding. And we kind of talked about trust a lot so far. Trust is part of branding. So when you're creating products, when you're doing courses, resources, and stuff, your branding is super important. And it's not just what it looks like, it's just that feel that you get, that trust that you gain from
Mm-hmm.
those resources. And I think a lot of people forget that. And we do live in this world, or what I see working with people, is that everyone kind of wants the same look. They want to kind of fit in that same box because they see someone else out there that's super popular and making a ton of money from what we see. And they want, their brand to look just like that one. And they want to make products just like that one. And that is such a bad direction to kind of be in when you are trying to be an individual. You're trying to build trust. You're trying to sell something. You want to be unique in that space. You want to show your own personality and stuff. And a lot of branding comes from that. So I know with marketplaces, you can put up a banner and you can put your logo up there and you can, do your product covers a certain type of way. But it really does come back to the business and who is operating the business. I see more success as someone that has a business that's front facing versus someone that's kind of an anonymous and doesn't have personal pictures or speaks online. Now, I am one of those people who
Mm-hmm.
I will show all the pictures in the world of my life. I guess, to a certain extent. And but I'm not a video person. I've never been a video person. I never talk to the camera. It's very rare when I talk to the camera, but I do think it kind of plays well for me because when I talk to the camera, I think people know that it's really important and I'm having something to say. So even though I don't like to go live, because you mentioned your people going live, I do not like going live. When I do talk to the camera, that's when my views like go crazy. That's when I can start selling things. And so that works for me. That might not work for everyone. So you definitely have to keep that in mind. You would definitely have to practice and see what works best for you. But that's kind of the branding, the personality type situation. With other frustrations from clients I'm seeing is just a fluctuation with, again, the algorithm changes, the pricing structure, the fees. I mean, how many emails have you gotten this year where it says like, oh, we're increasing our, yearly cost, or we're going to increase the PayPal fee, or those type of things. I'm not on Etsy. I am on TPT. So, I get those emails definitely too. So it's just those little things where people are just frustrated because they don't have a hands-on, like a grip on what their shop can be and what there's just like that not full control there with marketplaces. And I think that's the biggest frustration for sure with a lot of people.
Yeah, definitely. I mean, let's be honest, we all get into our business because we want control over, how we're selling and stuff like that and
Yes,
what we
sure.
do with our business. So it is hard when you're like dependent on basically someone else. I know I've seen so many Facebook groups that I'm in for TPT sellers this year where like the frustration, really, I feel like it started last year, just so much frustration growing over like, why doesn't anyone ask us what we want, what we think is good for our customers?
Yeah.
So, yeah, I mean, if there is someone who is selling on a marketplace, whether that be, Etsy, there's like that creative market, TPT,
Mhm.
whatever it might be, and they're like done with it, and or maybe they're not done with it, but they want to expand. They're like, I don't want to solely depend on this. What
Yeah.
alternatives do they have?
Yeah, definitely. So I would say, well, you kind of said it yourself, but I wouldn't just walk away from those marketplaces. I definitely would keep them in my pocket. It's totally fine to have multiple streams going at the same time. If you have a website for your business, you can, depending on what platform you are on, you can set up a shop directly on your website. And that gives you 100% more control than a TPT and Etsy, those type of marketplaces, because it's on your own website. You have control of, your products, who's viewing them. You can promote it. You can create coupons. You can do the marketing, all of those things like that,
Hmm.
and it's in your own pocket, right? So I work with WordPress. That's what I'm an expert in. And I use WooCommerce. WooCommerce is my choice platform for e-commerce. It's what I guide all my clients towards. It's what my course is about, how to set up your own shop. So those type of things can all be done on your own website. If you do not have a website yet, you can use your email marketing too. You can jump in your newsletter, sell that way. And you can even sell via social media too. There are tons of platforms out there nowadays that have checkout options that you can just have a single checkout page. I know like Flowdesk has the checkout option. I'm not sure about Kit yet. I'm sure they do.
It does, yeah,
But
yeah.
Yeah,
yeah,
they do.
so you can set up single products that way and share the link on your social media too. There are ways around it, but definitely if you are a TPT seller, an Etsy seller with a lot of products, you can sell directly on your own website and you can sell on those marketplaces too and cash in both ways.
Yeah, yeah, that's what I was going to say I definitely think the email marketing, I'm glad you brought that up, that they have so many little built-in things now. And I think Melanie and I, we've set up a couple things on there before and we're like, I mean, it's nice, but it is like kind of bulky to use.
Yeah.
So yeah,
Yeah.
I agree that if you
It's
have like,
good for like single products.
yeah, it's like good
Single
if you have like
forms.
a couple things or you just sell like a coaching session or something, right? And you're like, quick checkout. But if you have a lot of products, it is definitely a little bit bulky. So I definitely agree having a shop on your website, if that's possible, is probably the better
Yeah,
route to
for
go.
sure.
So when people go to sell on their website, what would you say are some of the bigger misconceptions or things that they kind of run into, stuff that you have to maybe overcome? Do they think it's really easy to get it all set up? Do see a lot of people who've tried to DIY it and then they're like, Alexis, help me. Because that's how I would be if I had a WooCommerce site. I feel like it can be complicated.
Yeah, there's definitely a good amount of tools here. So we have the ones that are just so worried about the tech behind it because they look at TPT, they look at Etsy, and they're like, this is a guided setup on here. What does that even look like on my website? And that can be a problem if you don't have the right help, if you don't have the right resources there. So that is where, my setting up shop with WooCommerce comes in because it's that hand holding that you need when you're trying to build up your own shop on your website. They're worried about traffic. All of these big platforms have traffic built in. They have they have an ad budget, those type of things. They have people, thousands of people coming to their website every day. That is a big thing with traffic there. And then they're always talking about the expense factor. How much is it going to cost? Is it going to be an arm and a leg? Those type of things. And in reality, WooCommerce is not WooCommerce is a free platform. You can add it to your website today. You don't have to pay anything. Where your fees are really coming in is your payment processor. So your PayPal fees, your Stripe fees, those type of things, which are, a couple cents per product, but you don't have that big arching. I'm thinking about TPT where you have to pay for the premium account to get a better rate back from them. You don't have to pay that every month or every year for WooCommerce. So that's definitely it. And I would say, if I'm going to say one more, because it always gets brought up and it's always in my inbox, is taxes. Like people freak out about taxes. I've had to, create content around the tax, like bursting that myth, because yes, taxes are important, but they're also doing taxes on TPT and Etsy. And yes, it's automatic, but there are things, there are plugins, there are resources for WooCommerce for your own shop that help you with those taxes, just like they do on these other marketplaces. So it's not as big of a daunting task as people make it out to seem.
Yeah, I think I remember when the tax thing started like several years back, and it was everyone is so, and I get it because I think I still every time I start a membership or whatever, I'm in the tax code, trying to figure it out, messaging my
Yeah.
CPA, and like, what do I do? But yeah, you're right. There are so many platforms nowadays that make it easy for us because they get that that's like a common struggle. And again, kind of going back to the point earlier, we were talking about, using Kit or Flowdesk for selling like that. Those platforms don't have the capability of doing taxes.
You're
So
right.
yeah, I've looked into that selling digital products on there, and I was like, how am I going to track taxes with this? So that is definitely something to think about because
Yeah.
you've said WooCommerce does have that option.
Mhm.
Your email provider is probably not. A lot of platforms don't. They're really, I feel like, are very few where it's like built in or they make it easy to kind of build
Yeah.
it in.
Yeah. For sure.
Yeah.
For sure.
What have you seen? We've kind of talked about some of the misconceptions people might have about selling on their website, but what have you seen as the biggest perks to selling on your website? If you actually do this and do the investment and put in the time, what are some of the things that might happen?
All right. So we have a lot of them for sure. And the first one we talked about earlier, branding. You can brand it however you want. You can create your shop the way that you want it to look. Um, if you like that TPT style with the sidebar and the searching and stuff, that's possible on a WooCommerce shop as well. And it's possible on a lot of different shop platforms, but my expertise is in WooCommerce. So I'm going to just keep talking about WooCommerce here. You have pricing control, you have coupon control. I remember the last conference I went to for TPT was like, it was a while, like 10 years. I don't even remember how long ago, Branda, we were just talking about this, but they promised the next rollout was going to be coupons, that we would be able to make our own coupons and use them at checkout. And everyone was so excited. And that was like 10 years ago, I swear. So with your own shop with WooCommerce, you can create a coupon every day of your life. You can create one every hour and send it to individuals. There's automation that you can set where if, let's say, someone abandons their cart, because this happens, right? You can send them a coupon in an email saying like, hey, come back, you can get 10% off. You don't have that with TPT. You don't have that with Etsy. Those are things that are amazing to get a return, especially if someone forgets something in their cart or they walk away. That's a good selling point right there in terms of getting that income back. Another one is building your email list. You can connect a lot of your newsletter platforms directly to your shop. So when someone checks out, they are automatically dropped into your newsletter. And you can set up a whole sequence. You can check in with them. You can ask for reviews through there. You just have way more control. Whereas, like TPT, you can't connect your newsletter there. You can barely communicate with your audience, your buyers. You can do your followers, but I don't really follow anyone on TPT anymore. It's just not something I do. So building your email list, creating those relationships with your customers directly is awesome. And then you are dealing with less fees. I mean, we talked about the TPT fee before. I don't even know what Etsy is. I'm sure it's outrageous. I've heard that they change their fees all the time, and you don't really have to deal with that with a shop on your own website. You deal with the payment processor fees, which is pretty normal. And, if you want to add any specific plugins that have a pro account that you need to work, that's really what you are, paying for. Other than that, it's all profit right back into your bank account. And,
It's super true about Etsy. I feel like their fees, this is not 100%. I'm just going off of what I remember. So it's definitely not like the numbers aren't correct. But I feel like you even have to pay if you don't sell anything just to have it listed. I think you get charged just for having anything listed on your site, regardless if you ever sell it. So I feel like you could lose money on Etsy. Some people totally swear by Etsy. Actually, oddly enough, a couple of my TPT clients who I'm like OBM for, they've actually had an uptick on Etsy sales, but they have Etsy, they have their own websites, they have TPT, they have, of course, a membership, they have like 18 streams of not really, but literally 5, 6 Thrivecart 2 streams of revenue at this point in time. So, but yeah, Etsy's a tricky one. It really is.
for sure. For sure.
So we talked a little bit earlier, though, about marketing and traffic being kind of a concern for people who are trying to sell on their own website, since, we have for GPT, obviously marketing and traffic is built in. But and you touched on a couple of these, but do you have any other tips for somebody who maybe already has their own website shop and wants to boost their sales? Like, let's say they already have it set up, but they're not getting a lot of traffic to it. Do you have any thoughts about that?
Yeah, for sure. I actually just got a DM the other day from a client of mine that had her shop set up by me a couple years ago, and she said she was struggling with, getting people to check out. And so I gave her a few suggestions. Obviously, you're not going to get as much traffic as you would on, one of these major platforms, but there are some things that you can do. You really want to dive into the SEO of your products. If you don't have an SEO plugin on your website that you are using, that's the first. Just pause real quick and go add that to your website. I would suggest Yoast SEO is the one that I prefer. There's Rank SEO too. You don't typically need a pro version of these. Like out the box, they're pretty good, just the free version. So add that in there. And a lot of these are kind of based off of like a green, orange, red light type situation. You want to try to get greens. A lot of people will do them for blog posts, but they don't realize they can also do them for products too. So you can set a keyword, you can set a meta description, you can use the program to kind of help align your actual description of the product to be more SEO friendly. And so I would really dive into each of your products and try to get green lights there. Get that SEO, because that's going to be the best thing with searchability for sure. And then the other thing, I would dive into your email list and see what's going on there. I would promote more in your email list, even if it's if you send a blog post out, maybe put a little snippet at the bottom. Hey, I got this product. Shout out a product every week, every month, whatever you do. I'm a very visual person, so I would also add in an image of that product. Another thing, you can look at your product covers, and I will bring myself in as an example for this. Look at your product covers, see if you're not converting well, see if there's anything you can change with your product covers. For me, I was like, you know what? I'm going to keep the same structure for all my products. And what I'm seeing now is that all of them just blend right in. So like no one sees the individual products. So my goal from now until the end of the year is to start working on product covers, make them more unique. We're going back to our conversation in the beginning, is making them individual, making them unique so that they stand out on their own versus blending all in. So that's on me. That's something I'm going to be working on with my shop. So I'm not perfect either. I got plenty of things to do. Your product listings, you can go through there, maybe update them, change them out. Try to limit the usage of AI if you can. I know AI is a great tool and I use it every day in my business, but don't take it, copy, paste, move on, make it your own. Even if you're having a conversation with it and getting it even cleaner. I think that's really trying to think if there's anything else that I thought of. Products, email. I mean, those are a great starting point for anyone that's kind of struggling with a website shop right now.
Yeah, for sure.
Obviously,
A
I
lot of
love
great
email.
steps.
So
Yeah.
I'm all about that. I think it's just, I think one of the big missed features, like selling through a marketplace, is that you have no way to contact anyone who ever buys
Mhm.
from you
Yeah.
once they check out. And so, and we know through, especially if you're a service provider, but I feel like even if you sell digital products, it is so much easier to buy from someone and to get that person to keep coming back than it is to continuously try to find a new person. So if you
Yes.
can take someone who already bought from you on your website, put them on your email list, they've already seen what you're capable of, what your product is able to do, how easy it is to use, whatever that is. Now it's a lot easier for me to continue to convert them and get them to say yes to future products. And that's just literally not possible through other platforms. I do think Etsy might have some way to do that because I feel like I have been like gotten on email lists from people I've bought through on Etsy before, but TBT definitely doesn't. And I kind
Yeah.
of get why. And I know that everyone's like, oh, but the notes to followers, ain't nobody reading their notes to followers. Okay. Well,
That's what I'm saying. No one is following you. No
no.
one is, I don't even
I
know.
know. We
No.
did an experiment with one of Brandon and I's mutual clients. I don't even know if I told you this, Brandon, but I did a note. This is a total tangent, but I feel like I need to tell the people. Like we did a total experiment for something that you're not supposed to do, right? Like leading people off the platform, which is a whole nother thing, but to a free opt-in. And I duplicated it specifically for note to followers just to see. We got 4 people, like 4, and they're not like a small TPT seller. We're talking like big email list. And yeah, 4, just the 4 people came from notes to followers. And I did that a couple times over the course of this year. And I think 4 was the highest that we ever got to opt into a lead magnet, not even a free product. So
That's insane.
yeah, we just
That's
stopped
Yeah.
doing them. We
Yeah.
just
I
stopped
kind of
doing
had
them.
another thought when you were talking about that. Blog posts,
Hmm.
big. People think blogs are dead. They are not.
Yeah.
Mhm.
There's so much that you can add in there. That's my first place. Whenever I need to learn how to do something, I'm going to Pinterest and I'm finding a blog post.
Yeah.
Um, so that is something that you can add your products into. You can promote your shop. I do it all the time with my website too. And you can update your Pinterest pins too while you're at it to get more interest because, something new and fresh is always good.
Yeah. I know this question has come up with some clients that I've worked with before who they are now selling on 2 different places, their website
Mhm.
and a marketplace. And they're like, well, what do I use in my email or in my blog as the link? And I'm like, use both. You can use both, right?
Yeah.
Like in your emails, you can say, hey, you can go buy this on TPT or here's also a way to buy it on my website. So you don't necessarily have to choose. A lot of my clients
Yeah.
will still send people to TPT just because that's like easy a lot of times. But
Yeah.
again, if you want to grow your traffic, let people know that you do have options on your sites. I know Melanie and I want to say, I can't remember what particular client. It might have been the one you're just talking about. But I know there's another client I think we worked with too, where they will run certain sales just through their website as a way to get people to go there and to build traffic there and to make them aware. So that's not something you have to do all the time, but even if it's once or twice a year, you're doing like, this is my annual sale on my site or a spring sale.
Yeah,
Again, it's just making people aware that they do have another way to shop with you. So
for sure. And there are ways, especially with WooCommerce and the way that you build a shop, that you can actually add in a buy from my shop and a buy from TPT, and it sends them there if you wanted to. My tip for my clients that I always give them when they're just starting out with the shop, either one that I built for them or one that I've guided them through building, is maybe price your shop pricing, your personal shop pricing, a little bit more competitive than TPT. That way it encourages people naturally, because they want to save money, to shop on your site. And it's worth it to me if they, maybe like 50 cents, a dollar, whatever. But then I get their email address, I have a direct communication with them, and they can see my checkout process is smooth and quick and easy versus TPT. That's one way that you can definitely convert someone from TPT shopping, Etsy shopping to your shop, is the price tag on it too, or a discount type of things.
and also you might end up making the same amount of money anyways after DPT takes
Exactly.
out all their stuff. Yeah.
Exactly.
Yeah.
And that could just
Yeah.
be a temporary thing too. Like you can just do that for a time being, maybe your first year, and then you start adding a little more to your price tag, but you've already got all those buyers that have come to you and they trust you and they are like, this is my go-to shop for XYZ. For me, it's a lot of people trust me with my tutorials and my videos because I can break things down pretty easily and small bites and have very good understanding with each step. So a lot of people come to me because I provide that in my resources that I sell and all the courses that I create too.
Yeah, that makes sense. What do you think, Alexis? This is just kind of like a random question. You know how some WooCommerce stores have the, I don't know, it's like code, I guess, where you have the buy it now, or then you can buy it on TPT and link them to the TPT product. Do you see that as effective so people have a choice, or would you overall recommend just leaving people on your website store? Something I've thought about and never had anyone
Yeah.
to ask until today. So
Yeah, for sure. I think it depends. I honestly think it depends on how well your TPT store is, like how big it is. If you're a big seller on TPT, talking, like Rachel Bloom, those type of, like big,
mhm.
it would be beneficial for you to have both options there. If you're a smaller seller, you're just getting started, you might find it useful because it gives someone a trusting place to go if they don't know you yet. But it also could be a bad thing too because you're getting people away from your website. You're taking that traffic away. So you have to kind of weigh out what works best for you. And the one thing that I will always say is that nothing is set in stone. Like you can change. I can decide on a Monday, hey, I'm going to do these two buttons and I'm going to have people go to both options. And then by Thursday, I said, nope, not doing that anymore. I'm taking it off. And that is totally okay. That's the benefit of having a shop on your own website, is that you have that flexibility to change your mind at any moment, tweak things, change things, update things. You have that flexibility. Whereas we go on marketplaces, you don't have
Yeah.
that at all. At all.
Yeah, that makes sense. All right, I have another follow-up question. I'm totally hijacking Branda.
All right, let's go. I'm here for it. I like
I'm
on the
thinking of
fly.
all these things. Is there, and this is, I feel like, an easy one for you. Is there a certain level or revenue or benchmark that you would recommend people get to in TPT before, I'm doing air quotes so people can't see, but quote, bothering to set up a WooCommerce site? Like, is there something that you look for when you're like, okay, yeah, you are ready for this?
That's a good question. And the answer is no. No, no, no. You're going to set up a TPT shop and you're going to spend the effort to upload your products in there. Just do your own shop on the side. It's not hurting anything. You're not losing
Sure.
any money. Then you have way more visibility online too in both places. And that actually might just even bump you there with getting your shop going. too, if you have it in more than one places. And again, build trust. I think the theme of this is building trust, because if you Google something and your name pops up 3 or 4 times because you have it on
Mhm.
Etsy, you have it on TPT, you have it on your own shop, you have a blog post, you have a Pinterest post, someone's like, oh, they know their stuff. I'm
Right.
going to go with them. I'm going to check them out. So I think it's beneficial to do all of the above all the
Yeah,
time.
I tend to agree. I just feel like people always are on TPT for years and then decide to do a
Yeah, no,
WooCommerce
I see
store.
that. I see
And
that with a lot of my clients for sure. And I see a lot of people that just have that hard time saying, like, okay, I'm going to make the commitment there. Again, it's the
Mhm.
price tag, it's the work, it's the tech, all of those things. But there are resources out there that I provide, as long as other people
Yeah.
out there that can help you with that bridge. If you want the DIY approach, I have a course to how to set up your own shop on your website.
Mhm.
Or if you want a completely hands-off approach, I can just take your shop and make it on your website for you in less than a week. And you can just get going there and start earning that profit on your own shop.
Yeah, that sounds dreamy.
Yeah. That was a
Yeah,
good segue because I was going to ask you,
I know,
how did we
right?
get
Right
started? I'm like,
into
wow, she just went right in. She's
it.
smooth transition. Yeah, I agree. I think one of the reasons so many people for years are on the, well, first of all, this wasn't really even a thing I feel like we talked about until two
No,
years ago when TBT was like, just kidding, we're gonna do our own thing and we're not gonna check with anyone anymore about how we run this. And it became much more like business TPT versus like for the teacher sellers TPT.
yeah, 100%.
But also like, yeah, when you've been selling since 2015 or whatever crazy amount of years you've been doing it, and you're like, I have 500 products, it can seem so intimidating. But yeah, I've seen your work working with clients. You make it really easy. I know in your course, you talk about how they could bulk upload things. It doesn't have to be you
No,
manually sitting there going
no,
one product at a time, you
no, no,
know.
no, no.
Yeah.
And I actually have a free resource on my website now
Yeah.
that you can, it's a video tutorial on how to pull the information from TPT so that you can get started organizing yourself for your WooCommerce shop. So that's an easy freebie that you can download, watch the tutorial. I don't remember how long it is, but I try not to be long-winded, but it's pretty quick and you can download all that information. That way you don't have to copy and paste anything. Like, it downloads in an Excel file and then you can just get it uploaded right onto your shop. Now there are other steps with that process, but that is one of the things I do see with people transitioning from TPT or moving or making a new shop on their own website, is that worry of, I spent all this time doing these products and this descriptions, and how am I going to get this on my shop? There's a way. There's a way. I got you. And yeah, there's a free resource out there that we can definitely, I'm sure you'll put it in the show notes because I'll send you the link for it. But on the top of my head, I do not know the link,
No,
but
that's
I
totally
will get
fine.
it.
Yeah. Yeah, we'll have that in the show notes. We'll also have the link to Alexis's course, Setting Up Shop with WooCommerce, and her service where she can take over for you if you're like, no, you couldn't pay me
Yeah.
enough to set up my own. That's fine. You can pay Alexis to do it.
Yeah, if you don't have the time or the patience, I do. I have
Yeah.
it for you.
Yeah.
I'll do it
And
for
she
you.
has I've seen some of the clients I've worked with and like written emails for, they have had shops done by Alexis, and I'm always like really impressed. I know there's some more advanced features that,
Mhm.
you know, may require some extra setup, but like I
Yeah.
know I have a client who has like a loyalty program built
Yep.
into her website, that I believe you helped her set up. And so there is also, you don't have to feel like you have to lose out on some of those things like the TPT credits or some of those more
No,
advanced things. Yeah.
no, there's so much out there that you can add to your own shop. Like, you have so much control. There's so many options that come out every day too that help promote it. We have that rewards, we have the abandoned cart sequence that you can add in there. If you want to convert your shop to a different language, we can do that. We can, there's so many different things that is available now
Yeah. Yeah.
with that
Well, thanks
control.
so much for chatting with us about this and
Yeah,
kind of
that's
sharing your
great.
expertise and what you've seen, because I know this is a big if someone isn't maybe actively thinking at the moment they wanted to build a shop, on their site. I know it's something that's been in conversations in a lot of groups and between a lot of different marketplace sellers. So maybe after this conversation, they might be wondering if it's the next step for them. So
Definitely don't be afraid of it. You can't mess it up. I promise you. There are ways to earn income in different streams, and you should take advantage of that, especially if you're selling online. You
yeah,
need to get yourself out there for sure.
yeah. If anyone wants to connect with you after the episode, what's the best place to reach out to you?
Yeah, so I try to be very active on Instagram. Try the keyword. So you can find me on Instagram at Laugh Eat Learn. And then you can also find me at my website, laugheatlearn.com. If you are interested in any of my services, I have that on my website. But if you're interested in my setting up shop with WooCommerce course, you can go to laugheatlearn.com/woo, and that will take you directly to that course and hopefully give you the courage to open up a shop on your own website.
Awesome. Well, thanks so much for joining us.
Yeah, thank you guys for having me. It's been great.
Thanks so much for joining our conversation today. If you enjoyed this episode, please head to your listening app and leave a quick rating and review.
If you're on Instagram, share this episode and tag us at Duxbury Digital and at The Relevant Collective. We'd love to hear from you. We'll meet you back here next Tuesday for more practical strategies to take your business from chaos to conversions.